There were 47 people at my funeral. They were all crying. They were all waiting for my inheritance. None of them had ever loved me, and I knew everything, because I wasn't dead. Sitting in the back row, I watched each of them from under my wide-brimmed black hat. The tears, the handshakes, the words of comfort, it was all a game. And I had changed the rules of the game. If this story touched your soul, click subscribe and let me know in the comments which city or country you listened from. I am grateful to everyone who comments. My name is Evelyn Dorn. I am 68 years old. I live in a large Victorian-style house in Springfield, Massachusetts. Or I did, because technically I was dead at the time. It all started 6 months ago. I was sitting in Dr. Morrison's office, my hands clasped in my lap, watching his lips form the words, 6 months. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, incurable. 6 months, he said, with that professional look of compassion in his eyes. Maybe more, maybe less, but enough time to get your affairs in order. Get my affairs in order. What a sterile phrase, isn't it? As if I were just going to organize my files and put away the garden hose. But that day at the clinic, as I tried to digest Dr. Morrison's words, the first thought that came to mind was, no one will really care. That thought shocked me. I am a woman who has lived 68 years, raised 3 children, taught school for 12 years, been married for 37 years. And when my death was announced, the first thing that came to my mind was that no one would care. I sat in my car, the engine running but not moving. People around me were leaving the clinic, going on with their lives, and there I was, wrestling with the weight of my own mortality. The phone rang. It was my son, Marcus. "Mom?" the bank called. "Can you help with our rent this month? Brittany's mom got sick again, and all our money went to that." "Hi, Marcus," I said, a bitterness in my voice. "I'm fine, thank you for asking." There was silence on the phone. "Mom, is now a good time?" I just got out of my doctor's appointment. Oh, a pause. "Well, is everything okay? Is everything okay?" I had learned I had cancer. They had told me I had 6 months left, and my son had made such a big deal out of my 45-minute appointment. "Yes, Marcus, I'll take care of the rent. Also, tell Brittany's mom I'm sorry." "You're amazing, Mom. You're a real lifesaver. We'll come over for dinner on Thursday night, okay?" Of course they never came. They never did. My other children? My daughter, Natalie, ran a yoga studio in Portland and barely bothered to call once a year. My youngest, Derek, was in Florida on a journey of self-discovery, still living off the remnants of my father's inheritance at 36. But the real shock came when I got home. As I entered the living room, I noticed the photo frames on the side table. From last Thanksgiving dinner, we were all together, smiling around the table. I looked closer at the photo. Marcus and Brittany, Derek and his then-girlfriend Sienna, Natalie and her partner Kyle. They were all looking at the camera, perfect smiles. And me. At the head of the table, almost outside the frame, in the shadows, indistinct. I held the photo in my hand. When had it become like this? When had I been pushed to the edge of my own family? Then I remembered. That evening, as I got up to set the timer to take the photo, Brittany had said, "Evelyn, could you move to the side for better light?" And I had, out of my own family photo. That evening, the conversation during dinner covered work, vacations, plans, my contributions. Can I get more wine? Who wants dessert? Don't help with the dishes, I'll handle them. Invisible, made, bank account. Have you ever wondered if your loved ones might love you for their own benefit? That night, before falling asleep, I opened my laptop and reviewed my will. It was quite simple. The house goes to Marcus. Investments will be divided equally among the 3 children. Jewelry goes to Natalie. My father's old watch to Derek. Everything was fair, orderly, predictable. And completely wrong. The following weeks were a blur of pain and clarity. I refused chemotherapy. I had plans rather than spend 6 months in a hospital room. My first stop, Attorney William Thatcher's office, in that old brick building on Main Street. William was an old friend of my father's, knew me from when I was little. Now in his 70s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, one of those rare people who knew how to keep secrets. "Evelyn," he said, standing up as I entered his office. "It's good to see you. What's on your mind?" I sat down across from his desk, my hands resting on my bag. "I want to change my will." His eyebrows rose slightly. "I see. Is there a specific reason?" "There are many reasons, William, but the most important one is this. When I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to see love around me. I want to see the truth." He took off his glasses and cleaned them gently. "That's an unusual request. Could you elaborate?" For the next hour I told him everything. The forgotten birthdays, the visits that never came, the requests for money, the hypocrisy. And most importantly, that photo. Me pushed to the edge of my family. William listened carefully, occasionally taking notes. Finally he said, "You want to prove that they are your family?" "Yes. But more than that, I want to teach them a lesson. The final lesson." "And how do you plan to do that?" I took an envelope out of my bag. Inside was a carefully prepared plan. William opened the envelope, read it, and his eyes widened. "Evelyn, this is quite radical." "Radical? Perhaps, but necessary. William, my entire life I've put everyone's needs before my own. My husband Arthur's, my children's, my grandchildren's, society's, and what did I get in return? To be ignored. But to watch your own funeral, that's very complicated, very risky." "Risky?" I laughed, a bitter laugh. "William, I have 6 months left. The concept of risk has a different meaning for me now." He leaned over the table. "Evelyn, think. This will be irreversible. Your relationships." "Which relationships, William?" "My son who calls me when he's broke, my daughter who texts me once a year, or my little son living off his father's fund. Their relationship with me is already only as deep as the money allows." There was silence. William leaned back, his hands on his temples. "If we do this," he said finally, "every detail must be perfect. Any mistake, and what? They'll think I'm dead. I'll already be dying. Aren't you thinking about whether this is ethical?" I looked at him. Was what they've been doing to me for years ethical? The argument was over. William took a deep breath. "Fine, let's do it. But Evelyn, know this. This game could change you forever." "William," I said, standing up. "I'm already changed. Only no one noticed." The details of the plan were complex but focused on a simple goal. Stage my death, attend my funeral, and watch the reading of my will live. Step 1. Deteriorate my health in a controlled manner. I increased my doctor appointments, started hospice care. I sent Marcus, Natalie, and Derek messages that my final days were approaching. Interestingly, none of them came to visit. Messages came. "Our thoughts are with you, Mom. You're so strong. We'll be there soon." None of them came. Step 2. Prepare a new will. William worked meticulously. 100% of my estate would go to the Springfield Public Library, the women's shelter, and the local animal shelter. My children, a symbolic $1. To each of them. "Are you sure?" William asked as I signed the document. "I've never been more certain." Step 3. Staging the death. This was the most sensitive part. Dr. Morrison was on board surprisingly, reporting, "Early death in my case was standard procedure, especially in hospice care." William and I prepared the legal documents. On Monday morning, September 22, I officially died. But in reality, I'm at Dr. Morrison's cabin in Lake George, recovering ironically. I've entered an experimental treatment program, and the situation is more promising than we thought. Planning and waiting. The funeral was scheduled for Saturday, September 28. Oak Ridge Chapel, the most prestigious funeral home in Springfield. Have you ever thought about attending your own funeral? Have you ever wondered what people will say about you after you're gone? On Friday evening, September 27, I returned to Springfield. I had changed. I had cut and dyed my hair, changed my makeup, got new glasses, and adopted a different clothing style. I wasn't unrecognizable, but I was different enough. I had assumed the identity of a distant relative of a friend. And there I was. I arrived early and sat in the back rows of Oak Ridge Chapel. As people began to fill in, I took out my notebook and started observing. The first to arrive were Marcus and Brittany. Marcus was wearing a black suit, Brittany an elaborate black dress and pearls. No tears, just serious expressions. As they entered the door, Brittany whispered, "Will there be a house gathering after church?" Marcus replied, "Probably. The will be read on Monday." Natalie and Kyle arrived. Natalie's eyes were red, but her makeup was perfect. Kyle had his phone in his hand, constantly texting. Derek arrived last, alone, an hour late. His hair was messy, his suit unpressed. At least he really looked devastated. But was he really? The funeral director began the service. The sermon, prayers, then the speeches. Marcus was the first to stand. He walked to the microphone, cleared his throat. My mother, Evelyn Dorn, was an incredible woman. His voice trembled. She gave us everything. Her love, her time, her wisdom. She was always there whenever we needed her. Whenever we needed her. Meaning whenever we needed money. What I loved most about my mother was her generosity. She never said no. Never. Because you never gave her a choice. And now, Marcus paused, wiped his eyes with a handkerchief. Now, I don't know how we'll go on without her. Brittany stood up, comforted Marcus, and they sat down together. Natalie came next. Her speech was shorter, more poetic. My mother was a light. When she entered a room, everything glowed. Really, Natalie? When was the last time you entered that room? Derek didn't speak. He just sat there, head bowed. The ceremony ended. People came to my coffin, my empty coffin, to say goodbye. Tears, handshakes, whispers. I sat in the back row, watching from under my hat. And I noticed something. None of them were really crying. There was a performance of tears, of course. But real grief, real loss, it wasn't there. After the funeral, everyone gathered at Marcus and Brittany's house. I went too, quietly, an observer. In the living room, as drinks were served, I listened to the conversations. Brittany to her neighbor. Yes, it's a tough time, but at least the house is Marcus's. That will help us financially. Marcus to his brother. Derek, the will reading is Monday. At William's office. Be ready. Natalie to Kyle. Should I sell the jewelry right away or wait a few years? Will the value increase? Derek, alone, on the balcony, smoking his cigarette. At least he was quiet. Hours passed, people left, the family remained, and finally relaxed. Marcus opened a bottle of wine. Okay, let's be honest. Mom's gone, and everyone knows our relationship was complicated. Brittany laughed. Complicated? Marcus, your mom saw you as an ATM. Hey, it was mutual. She saw us as a grandchild factory. Natalie chimed in. At least there's no guilt now. Why aren't you calling? When are you coming to visit? It's over. Derek didn't say anything. Marcus turned to him. Derek, are you okay? Derek looked up. Do you think this is right? What's right? Mom, I don't know. Maybe we should have tried harder. Marcus smiled. Derek, Mom was happy. She had a good life. Let her go. Let her go. I feel like trash. As I left the house, the resolve in my heart grew stronger. On Monday, the real funeral would take place, and this time, it would be their illusions that would die. I woke up early on Monday morning. It would be my last night at Dr. Morrison's cabin. Tomorrow I would officially emerge and return to my life, or at least what remained of it. But first, today, the day the will would be read. I looked in the mirror. My transformation was still striking. My dark brown hair was now cropped short and platinum blonde. My contact lenses had changed the color of my eyes. Losing 10 pounds had sharpened my features. My own son wouldn't recognize me if he walked past me. And he didn't, because on Saturday night, at the Marcus's house, I walked right past him. Excuse me, he said, making room for me, politeness to a stranger. While I was drinking my coffee, a message came from William. 10. Everything is ready. Are you sure? More sure than ever, I wrote. William Thatcher's office was on Main Street, on the third floor of an old building. Wooden door, brass plaque, Thatcher and Associates, Est 1952. I arrived at 9:45 and waited in the small side office. Emily, William's assistant, showed me. From here I could see the main conference room where the will would be read. They started arriving at 9:05. Natalie was the first to arrive with Kyle. Natalie looked nervous, her hands constantly moving. Kyle was still busy on his phone. Then Marcus and Brittany. Brittany was wearing an expensive-looking dress, probably new, bought for the funeral. Marcus was confident, smiling as he shook hands with the lawyer. Derek arrived last, late again. His hair was still messy, the circles under his eyes dark. He looked like he hadn't slept. When they sat down, William stepped to the head of the conference table and placed a thick file in front of him. "Good morning, everyone," he said, in a serious but professional voice. "We are gathered here today to read the final will and wishes of Evelyn May Dorn. Evelyn updated these documents in August, about a month before her death." Marcus leaned forward. "A month ago? Why?" "That will become clear in the next few minutes, Marcus. Please don't interrupt me." Brittany touched Marcus's hand, a soothing gesture. But there was greed in her eyes. Greed. William put on his glasses and began to read. "I, Evelyn May Dorn, being of sound mind and body, hereby declare my final will and testament." Standard legal language. Everyone waited impatiently. "For the main part, the money part," William continued. "First, I bequeath my primary residence in Springfield, the property located at 47 Maple Avenue." Marcus sat up straight. That was his property. Everyone knew it. "Bequeath to the Springfield Public Library, on the condition that the building be used as a community learning center and be named the Evelyn Dorn Literacy Center." Silence. Marcus slowly said, "What?" William didn't look at him. He continued reading. "Second, my investment accounts, savings accounts, and all other liquid assets shall be divided as follows: 40% to the Springfield Women and Children's Shelter, 35% to the Berkshire Animal Shelter, 25% to the St. Mary's Hospital Cancer Research Fund." Natalie's face paled. Stop a minute." William raised his hand. "Please, I'm not finished yet. Third, my valuable jewelry collection, especially my diamond engagement ring and my grandmother's pearl necklace, will be sold at auction, and the proceeds will be distributed equally among the charities mentioned above." Natalie jumped out of her chair. "That's impossible. Those jewels were bequeathed to me." "That's what the old will said," William said coldly. "This is the new will." Marcus stood up. "William, this is nonsense. Mom couldn't have done this in her right mind. She had cancer. She was on medication. This can't be legally valid." William looked directly at him. "Marcus, your mother was of sound mind when she updated her will. She has documentation from Dr. Morrison and Dr. Helena Vance, an independent psychiatrist. Both confirmed that Evelyn had full capacity to make her decision." But why?" Natalie's voice broke. "Why would she do that?" "Because," William continued slowly, "your mother wanted to leave something to all of you, as a symbolic gesture." Brittany leaned forward. "How much?" William looked at the last page. "To Marcus Dorn, $1. To Natalie Dorn-Chen, $1. To Derek Dorn, $1. The room froze. Derek said quietly, $1? "Yes, and a letter for each of you." William took out 3 envelopes and placed them on the table. "I recommend you read these privately." Marcus grabbed his envelope and tore it open. His face flushed as he read, then turned purple. Natalie opened hers more slowly, her hands trembling. Tears welled up as she read. Derek didn't look at his envelope. He just placed it on the table. "William," Marcus's voice was threatening, "we will contest this will. We'll hire every lawyer." "You're free to do so," said William. "But let me warn you, Evelyn anticipated this. Her will states that in the event of an objection, the objectors will pay their own legal fees, and the charities will receive excellent legal representation. Furthermore, Dr. Morrison and Dr. Vance are prepared to testify." That's not fair," Brittany said, her voice approaching hysteria. Justice is an interesting concept, isn't it? William leaned back. Evelyn and I discussed this at length. Have you ever considered what is justice? Everyone getting an equal share or everyone getting what they deserve? Marcus slammed the envelope on the table. Do you know what that letter says, William? Mom accuses us of abandoning her. She says we don't care. That's ridiculous. Is that so? William's voice was soft but sharpening. Marcus, how many times have you visited your mother in the last 6 months? I was busy. My job. 0. The answer is 0. Natalie? Natalie bowed her head. You? Once. On Mother's Day. You stayed for 15 minutes, gave her a gift card and left, saying you had urgent business. William turned to Derek. Derek? Derek was silent. Derek came at least twice. Didn't you, Derek? Derek slowly raised his head, tears in his eyes. 3 times. 3 times. And why don't the others know? Because... Derek's voice broke. Because I didn't tell them. Mom didn't want me to. She said I didn't want to upset them. Marcus turned to him. What? Derek, why? Because you didn't care. Derek exploded, jumping to his feet. None of you cared. Mom was dying and you were asking about the rent. Natalie was asking about the jewelry. Only I could see what was happening. And what was that? Natalie's voice was defensive. A lonely woman. Abandoned. By her children. Derek took the envelope, slowly opening it. As he read, tears streamed down his cheeks. Mom thanks me for visiting, for listening, but she still leaves me $1. Because... He paused, struggling to breathe. Because what? Marcus pressed. Because I didn't do anything either. I didn't protect her before it was too late. Derek sat down at the table, his head in his hands. She's right. She's right about everything. Silence fell, thick, suffocating. Then Natalie spoke, her voice a whisper. My letter says, it says she was most disappointed in me. Because I got angry. I should have understood the bond of motherhood, but I didn't. She brought her hands to her face, real tears this time. Marcus sat down, rereading the envelope. His anger was slowly turning to collapse. She listed everything. Every missed birthday, every canceled visit, every request for money, dates, times. Brittany looked at the letter. She wrote to me too. To me? She says. She says she knows how I manipulated you, how I saw Evelyn as an ATM. Because she was. Marcus turned to her. You were the one who suggested constantly asking for money. And you loved it every single time. The conflict erupted. Accusations, defenses, years of pent-up anger. William stood up. Enough. This office is not a place for family therapy. The reading of the will is complete. The documents are ready. Evelyn's estate will be distributed according to procedure. And if we object, Marcus's last attempt, then we'll see each other in court. But Marcus, let me warn you, you're going to lose this fight. And when you lose, you won't just lose the money, you'll lose the last bit of respect you have for your mother. Is that really what you want? Marcus didn't respond. After they left, I stepped out of the side room. William relaxed and smiled when he saw me. Evelyn, as planned? Better, I said, my voice still sounding unfamiliar. Much better. Aren't you sorry? You saw them. They're hurt. They may be hurt, William, but they're learning. Maybe for the first time, they're really seeing who they are. I went to the window and looked out at Main Street. Below, Marcus and Brittany were walking to their cars, arguing fiercely. Natalie and Kyle were walking in the opposite direction, Natalie still crying. And Derek. Derek stood on the sidewalk, took a cigarette out of his pocket, but didn't light it. He just held it, lost in thought. Derek noticed, I said. Noticed what? The truth. The others are still dealing with loss. But Derek is dealing with failure. William came over to me. And now what? Now, I said. I'm waiting a week. Let's see what they do. The next 7 days were a social experiment, and I was the silent observer. Day 1. Tuesday. Marcus and Brittany hired a lawyer, Lowell and Simmons, from Boston. Expensive. They filed an objection to the will. Grounds: lack of capacity. Natalie went to a silent retreat at a yoga studio. She posted on Instagram, "Time for healing." Derek disappeared. He turned off his phone and didn't talk to anyone. Day 2. Wednesday. Marcus and Brittany's lawyers called William. William politely but firmly refused. Dr. Morrison and Dr. Vance's reports were unshakable. Natalie returned to Portland and posted that she had scheduled a family therapy session. Growth. Inner work. Derek came to my house. Yes, my old house. 47 Maple Avenue. I stood at the door watching from the neighbor's house, gardener Julie's house. Julie was helping me, hired to watch the garden, but really she was my spy. Derek tried to open the door, then remembered it wasn't his anymore. He sat on the steps, head in his hands. He sat there for 30 minutes. Just sat. Then he got up, left a note on the door, and left. Julie brought the note to me later. It read, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have been better. A better son. I wish I could have told you when I had the chance. I love you. I always have. I just forgot how to show it. Derek." Reading the note, I began to hesitate for the first time. Derek was different. Derek was truly sorry. Day 3. Thursday. Marcus and Brittany's lawyers withdrew. The costs had become prohibitive, and the case was weak. Marcus was angry. Brittany was even angrier. Cracks began to appear in their marriage. "Your mother!" Brittany yelled in a restaurant. Julie was there, coincidentally, at the next table. "Your damn mother ruined us!" She was my mother. Show some respect. Respect? She left us $1. $1. Natalie posted that she had split from Kyle. Sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who hold you back the most. Kyle commented, "You owe me $5,000, Nat." Derek was still missing, but he was active on Facebook, looking at old photos of Springfield, places from his childhood, a nostalgic search. Day 4. Friday. The local newspaper published the story, "Local philanthropist Evelyn Dorn leaves legacy to charities." Reactions were mixed. Some applauded generosity, community spirit. Others criticized exclusion of family. Odd. But the comments section. Oh, the comments section. One user, Kasabamariki47. "I know Evelyn's son. He was always coming to his mother for money. Good riddance." Another user, Anne Merriam1958. "Sad. Family should be everything. But what can you do when your family abandons you?" And then one comment stopped me in my tracks. DChamp1989. "If you imagine Evelyn's mother, read on. No mother would completely exclude her children from her inheritance. There must be a reason. A big reason. I hope we children can understand that reason before it's too late." DChamp1989. Derek's birth year. Derek was publicly accepting responsibility. Day 5. Saturday. Marcus and Brittany were sleeping in separate rooms. Natalie was selling jewelry to pay Kyle back. Her own jewelry. Not my mother's. Those were already gone. Derek went to the Springfield Public Library. The director, Mrs. Patricia Yao, gave him a tour of the building, soon to be the Evelyn Dorn Literacy Center. "Julie went there by chance," she told me. Derek stood in the hall, looking at old photos the library's opening day, 1962, and there, a young woman, late 40s, with 2 small children, Marcus and Natalie, and pregnant. With Derek? Under the photo, "Volunteers launch community reading program." Pictured, Evelyn Dorn and family. Derek studied the photo for a long time. Then he said to Patricia, "My mother loved this place, didn't she?" "Oh yes," Patricia smiled. "Evelyn volunteered for 20 years. She taught children to read. Every Saturday morning, rain or shine. She was one of the kindest women I ever knew." Derek's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know. I never asked. She didn't talk about it," Patricia said softly. "Evelyn didn't like attention. just helping. After Derek left, she sat in the parking lot and cried. Julie texted me from the car. This kid is broken, but maybe he can be fixed. Day 6, Sunday. Church day, but none of them went. Marcus and Brittany sat on the couch, fighting over the remote. Natalie meditated, but her Instagram stories were still full of angry subtext. Derek. Derek did something unexpected. He went to the Springfield Women and Children's Shelter. He met with Director Grace Kimball. I want to volunteer, he said. Grace was surprised. Volunteer? Mr. Dorn, that's wonderful, but please, my mom cared about this place, and I want to honor her, even if it's late. Grace softened. It's never too late. Derek signed a paper. Orientation would be on Tuesday. When Julie told me this, something broke in my heart. A small crack in the armor of the pen. Day 7, Monday. A week later, the anniversary of the reading of the will. Marcus and Brittany fought. A big, ugly fight. The neighbors called the police. No force was used, but the relationship was over. Natalie shut down her social media. Completely. Accounts deleted. And Derek came back to my house. 47 Maple Avenue. This time he didn't just look. He got out of his car, walked into the yard, sat down on the grass. I told Julie, go to him, talk. Julie protested. But Evelyn, the plan? Change the plan, go. Julie went. Hello, Julie said as she approached. Can I help you? Derek looked up. His eyes were red, tired. It's you, the gardener. Julie, yes. My mom loved you. She talked about you all the time. She said you understood the soil. Julie sat down next to Derek. Your mom was a special woman. I know. Derek's voice broke. I know now. But it's too late. Why is it too late? Because she's gone. And I never apologized. I wasn't a good son. Julie was silent. Then Derek whispered, I wish I had one more chance. Just one more time. To tell her how sorry I am. How much I loved her. And what would you say? Julie asked. Derek, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for leaving you, for not listening, for not caring, for thinking you were just my mother, something that would always be there for me, and I forgot that you had feelings, dreams, and pain too. He paused. And I would tell her that I love her. I always have. I just forgot how to show it. But now I want to learn. I want to honor you. Not the legacy you left to charities, the legacy of love you left. Julie's eyes filled with tears. He would have known that, Derek. Do you think so? I know it. They sat in silence. Then Derek said, Julie, can I ask a strange question? Sure. My mother, in her final days, was she happy? Julie looked at me from the window across the garden, hidden behind the curtains, and I signaled to her what to say. Julie turned to Derek. Yes, because she saw a gift that had been given to her. What gift? The gift of clarity, the gift of seeing who matters, and the gift of being grateful for small truths. Derek nodded, trying to understand. Julie stood up. Derek, if you want to sit here, wait. This garden is yours too. It always has been. And Julie left. Derek sat for 2 hours, just in the garden, lost in thought. I watched from inside, and for the first time I thought, maybe it's not too late. That night, I called William. I'm coming back, I said. When? Tomorrow. But only for one person, Derek. Evelyn, I know this wasn't part of the plan, but William, I saw my son, his genuine remorse, his genuine change, and I want to give him another chance. William was silent for a long time. Then, if we do this, there's no turning back. If the others find out, they won't find out. Not yet. Maybe never. Think carefully, Evelyn. I have thought. I've thought for 7 days, and I've made my decision. Tuesday morning, 10, Springfield Women and Children's Shelter. Derek had arrived early for orientation. Grace Kimball was showing him around the facility. "And this is the playroom." Grace opened the door. "The children can feel safe here, have fun." Derek stepped inside, looked around. Pictures on the walls. Pictures of hope, nightmares, dreams. And next to the table, a woman with her back turned, reading a book with a child. "Derek," Grace said, "I want you to meet one of our volunteers. This is—" The woman turned. Derek froze. There are moments when time stands still. Heartbeats seem to stretch. Breath hangs in the air. This was one of those moments. "Hello, Derek," I said. His face paled. His mouth opened. The words didn't come. "You but—" He stumbled backward, leaning against the wall. Grace intervened. "Derek? Are you okay?" Derek was looking at me, his eyes a mixture of disbelief, shock, fear, hope. "Mom?" A whisper, almost inaudible. Tears welled up in my eyes. "Hello, son. Have you ever thought about this? What if your death is a kind of rebirth?" Derek collapsed to the floor. He literally collapsed onto his knees, shaking. "How? How could? You died. There was a funeral." I went to him, kneeling on the floor. "No, Derek. I appeared to be dead. But I'm here. I'm alive." "But why? Why would you do such a thing?" "Because I had to see the truth. Who really cared in my family. And you. And you tested me." Derek's voice was full of pain. "You tested all of us." "Yes. I didn't lie. And Derek, most of you failed." His face crumpled. "I know. Mom, I know. Every night I lie in bed and think about what a terrible son I am. How much. But you're different." I held his hand. "Derek, you came back. You were truly sorry. Not just with words, but with actions. That's why I'm here. For you." "What about Marcus? Natalie?" "They're not ready yet. Maybe they never will." Derek shook his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve a second chance. Maybe life isn't about getting what we deserve. It's about getting what we need. And Derek, I need you. I need to forgive you. Just like you need to forgive me." "Forgive you? Mom, you didn't do anything." "I did." I looked at him directly. "I shut you out. I didn't show my pain. I always played the strong mother role, never the human role. And you kids, you never really reached me either. You just thought you did." Derek embraced me, a tight, desperate hug. And I hugged him back. My long-lost son of 36 years. Grace stood in the corner, shocked, but with a soft smile on her face. I think I should leave you alone." "No," I said. "Grace, please stay. I need to explain something to you." Over the next hour I told her everything. The cancer, the changed will, the staged death, the funeral, my observations. Grace listened, first in shock, then with understanding. "Evelyn, this is incredibly complex and deeply painful, both complex and necessary." Derek was still in shock. "So, chemotherapy? Treatment?" "I've had it. An experimental program. Dr. Morrison got me into a clinical trial at Lake George. The results, promising. I'm not in full remission, but I'm stable. Maybe I have years." "Years," Derek repeated, as if testing the word. "I have years with you. If you want them." "I want them. God, Mom, I want them so badly." The following weeks turned into a strange, delicate balance. Reconnecting with Derek wasn't easily explained. Relationships aren't instantly repaired, but the foundation was there. Regret, forgiveness, and most importantly, effort. Derek visited every day. At first the conversations were difficult, superficial, weather, news, insurance. But slowly they deepened. One afternoon, sitting on the back porch drinking tea, Derek said, "Mom, I want to ask you something." "Ask." "Why me? Why did you come back to me, not the others?" I looked at the cup, watched the steam rise. "Because, Derek, You were the only one who really saw. Marcus and Natalie cried at my funeral. But why? Because they lost me, or because they lost the inheritance? But I neglected you too. You did. But you came back. Without hesitation. Not out of guilt. Out of true love. Derek bowed his head. I let you down. Yes. But disappointment is a form of love. I don't get disappointed by people I don't care about. He raised his eyes, smiled slightly. This will sound strange, but thank you for testing me. I needed to see the truth. You're welcome. We sat in silence. Then Derek, so what now? Marcus and Natalie? I don't know. Maybe someday, but not yet. They're not ready yet. And because you found me ready? I found you lucky. Because my funeral was a wake-up call for you. But for Marcus and Natalie, it was just a loss. A financial loss. Derek nodded. They're divorcing Brittany. Did you hear? I did. Julie was still my intelligence source. And Natalie really did leave Kyle. She's completely alone now. Sometimes loneliness brings clarity. Do you think they could change one day? I paused. People can change, Derek, but only if they truly want to. It can't be forced. It can't be manipulated. It has to be chosen. Volunteering at the Springfield Women and Children's Shelter changed Derek. Serving others, especially children and families facing hardship, gave him perspective. One day he said to me, I see these women, these mothers. They give everything for their children. And I realize you were like that too. And we just took. Derek. No, Mom, it's true. We were like parasites, taking kindness, love, money, never giving anything back. Now you are giving. Because you showed me. With your staged death, you showed me how to measure love. It's not measured by existence. It's measured by action. I was proud. My complicated, painful plan had changed someone. Truly changed them. But the question was one person enough? Marcus's situation worsened. The divorce from Brittany was ugly. Arguments over the house, savings, accusations, and it was all triggered by the financial stress from my will. One day, unexpectedly, Marcus came to William's office. I want to see Evelyn's will again, he said. William was surprised. Marcus, we already read it. I know, but I want to see it again. I might have missed something. William hesitantly pulled out the file. Marcus read it. Slowly, carefully. Then, there's a note here, small, in the footer. Derek knows the truth. What does that mean? William froze. That was the last-minute detail I had added. A clue. A test. I don't know, William lied. Marcus looked at him. You do know. William, you've been our family lawyer for years. Be honest. William consulted me. By phone. Quickly, I said. Tell him. William took a deep breath. Marcus, you need to talk to Derek. Why? Because he knows the truth. What truth? Why this will was changed. Marcus's face clouded over, then cleared. Derek spoke to my mother. In her final days. Right? Yes. And she told him something. Something she never told us. Marcus, if you want answers, talk to Derek. Marcus called Derek. Not on the phone, face to face. At Derek's apartment. What do you want, Marcus? Derek looked tired. The truth. William marked a note in the will. Derek knows the truth. What do you know? Derek paused. He didn't consult me. He made a decision. Mom is alive. Silence. What? Marcus's voice was a whisper. Mom is alive. She faked her death. To test us all. Marcus stumbled backward, clutching the wall. Bullshit. Impossible. There was a funeral. An empty coffin. Mom is at Lake George, undergoing treatment with Dr. Morrison. I found out a week ago. And you didn't tell me? Because Mom wouldn't let me. She only saw me. Because, Marcus, we failed. You, me, Natalie. All of us. Marcus punched the wall. This is insane. How could— Because we gave her a reason to do it, Derek shouted. When was the last time you called her? Visited her? Talked to her without asking for money? I was busy. We were all busy with our jobs, our lives, our problems, and Mom, our dying Mom, she was just forgotten. Marcus slumped to the floor, his head in his hands. God, what have we done? We made ourselves see the truth. Finally. Marcus lifted his head, tears in his eyes. Will she see me? Mom, will she see me? Derek hesitated. I don't know. But Marcus, if you apologize, if you truly apologize, maybe. The next day, Marcus came to the shelter. He stood at the door, saw me, and froze. We looked at each other. Years, regrets, lies, truths hung between us. Mom! His voice broke. Marcus. He came forward, slowly. I don't know what to say. Hello is enough for a start. He smiled, a bitter smile. Hello, how are you? Oh, wait, I thought you were dead. Fair enough. He sat down, across from me. Why, Mom? Why would you do something like that? And I told him. Everything, the forgotten birthdays, the visits that never came, your demands for money. The photo pushed aside. Marcus listened, his face sinking more and more. I didn't realize, he said finally. I know, because you didn't see. You didn't want to see. I love you, Mom. Do you know that? Do you really know that? Because, Marcus, love isn't a feeling. It's an action. And your actions spoke. Only I listened. He cried. A 39-year-old man cried in front of his mother. I'm sorry, he said. God, I'm so sorry. I know. Can I fix it? Do I have a chance? I looked at him. I really looked at him. Did I see the remorse I saw in Derek? Real change? Not yet. But a start. Maybe, I said. But Marcus, this won't be fixed in one go. It's a long road. It takes effort. Real effort. I will. I swear I will. We'll see. Natalie learned the information from Marcus. Marcus called her, told her everything. Natalie's reaction was complicated. First anger. How dare he? Manipulating us like this. Then denial. This can't be true. Marcus is lying. Then bargaining. I need to see him. He owes me an explanation. And finally, silence. Natalie didn't call me. She didn't visit. She didn't text. 2 weeks. Nothing. Derek was worried. Mom, maybe you should reach out to her. No. Natalie has to make a choice. On her own. But what if she doesn't? Then we have our answer. 3 weeks later. Natalie came. She knocked on my door, the door of my old house, now the house that would become the library. William had arranged special access for me to collect my belongings. I opened the door. Natalie was standing there, looking thin, tired, but clean, calm. Hello, Mom, she said. Natalie, can I come in? I stepped aside. We entered the living room. The old furniture was still there, not yet removed. Natalie sat down on the couch, looked around. It smells the same, like you. Lavender. I always loved it. I know. She paused. Mom, I don't know what to say. Why did you come? Because I realized I had to face the consequences, the final exam. And I failed, didn't I? What do you think? Natalie's eyes filled with tears. I think I'm a bad daughter for not caring about you, only your inheritance. Go on. I think I blamed you for being too demanding, controlling. But the truth is, I was just busy with my own life, and I took you for granted. And now? Now, I don't know. Can I change? Am I sorry? Yes. Am I regretful? Yes. But Mom, I have to be honest. I don't know. Can I fix this? Honesty. Sometimes honesty is more valuable than an apology, because apologizing is easy, but admitting you don't know, that takes courage. I looked at her, my daughter, 43 years old, still searching for answers. Natalie, I said softly, I don't expect you to fix it. I don't expect you to be perfect. I just expect you to see me, not just as your mother, as a human being. Can I do that? I don't know, but if you want to try, I'm here, Natalie cried. Real tears this time, no performance. Then, hesitantly, she hugged me, and I held her. Had I forgiven her? Not completely, but it was a start. Life returned to a kind of normal balance. Derek was consistent, 3 visits a week, volunteering, real effort. Our relationship grew stronger every day. Marcus was inconsistent. There were good days, coffee dates, honest conversations. There were bad days, forgotten appointments, text apologies. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Natalie was slow. A visit a month, small talk. No depth, yet, but there was effort. Small but real. And Brittany? She left. The divorce was finalized. Kyle? Same. The family had shrunk, but perhaps it was more honest. 1 year later, the anniversary. On the anniversary of my death, we, Derek, Marcus, Natalie, and I went to Oak Ridge Chapel. My grave was still there, under the empty coffin, the headstone. Evelyn Dorn, 1957 to 2024. Beloved mother, teacher, friend. Derek placed flowers. Marcus lit a candle. Natalie read a poem. And I watched. My own grave. Isn't it strange, Derek whispered, attending your own funeral? Less strange the second time, I said. Marcus laughed. A real laugh. Mom, you're incredible. You know that, right? I'm old. It's forgivable. Natalie held my hand. Thank you. For what? For teaching us. A painful lesson, but necessary. I looked at the grave. In my own name. Have you ever thought about what your death would leave behind? Tears? Regrets? Or maybe a new beginning? Kids, I said, I want to tell you something. They turned to me. This past year has been a test for me, too. Not just for you, for me. To learn to forgive, to learn to let go, and most importantly, to learn what it means to love again. And did you learn? Marcus asked. I'm learning. We're all learning together. Derek put his arm around my shoulder. Together. And there we stood, around an empty grave, but our hearts were full. We weren't perfect. Families are never perfect. But we were real. Finally, 2 years later, my cancer came back. This time, for real. But this time, I wasn't alone. Derek came every day. Marcus came 3 times a week. Natalie struggled, but she tried. She really tried. And on my last day, in my hospice bed, the 3 of them gathered around me. I'm sorry, Derek whispered, for not having more time. We had time, I said. We had good time, real time. Marcus held my hand. I love you, Mom. And this time, I know what it means. I know. And he did. I could see it in his actions. Natalie cried. Forgive me, please. I already have. And I had. Not completely, maybe. But enough. I closed my eyes. I rested. And I thought, life is strange. I had to die to really learn how to live. My real funeral was 2 weeks later. Oak Ridge Chapel. Again. But this time, it was different. 47 people came. But this time, they really cried. Derek spoke. He shared his memories the last 2 years, the change, the lessons. Marcus spoke. He apologized publicly for his failure and for committing to change. Natalie spoke. She read a poem, one she wrote herself, about breaking and rebuilding. And at the funeral, in the back rows, people didn't notice who came in large numbers. Families from the women's shelter, children from the library, patients from the hospital's cancer ward, people I touched in my life, quietly, unnoticed. And maybe, just maybe, that was my real legacy. Not a house, not money, not jewelry. People, changed people. My real will was actions, lessons, love, and, most importantly, at the funeral, I left an envelope with special instructions for William. Inside was a letter. For the three of them, dear children, if you are reading this, I am truly gone. This time, for real. Our last 2 years weren't perfect, but they were real. And that's enough. I ask only one thing of you. Look at each other. See each other. Not just as siblings, as human beings. And sometimes, go to my God and visit my empty grave and smile. Because yes, I deceived you, but I also saved you. Not yourselves. I saved us. With infinite love. Mom! P.S. Derek, donate to the shelter. Marcus, volunteer at the library. Natalie, call someone just to listen. These are my last requests. Small but important. P.P.S. And if one day your own children abandon you, don't test them. Just talk. Communication is better than manipulation. Always. My story ends here. But the real question is, what is your story? Do you see your loved ones? Or are they also on the sidelines, in the shadows, outside the frame of a photograph? And if so, what will you do before it's too late? Did this story touch you? Did it make you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, reach out to your loved ones today. Tomorrow may be too late. Sometimes second chances are given. But not always.